Hey everyone, welcome to the Work Time Fun Podcast. I'm your coworker L, and let's get started. Before we jump in, if you haven't listened to my previous podcast about Daredevil, then I should let you know that this is going to be a series this week about the Defenders shows, which includes Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders, and The Punisher, all on Disney Plus right before we start Moon Knight, which would be, I guess, premiering next week, actually, March 30th. So yeah, let's get started. Jessica Jones is a Marvel superhero character that I am not even vaguely familiar with before this series premiered, which was back in, November 2015 on Netflix originally. And then now you can catch it on Disney Plus. So going into this, I really had no clue. However, I am familiar with the actor that portrays Jessica Jones here, who is Kristen Ritter. She was in Breaking Bad from my first memory of her. And also, if you might have seen a dark comedy called The Bee in Apartment 23. Yeah, that was something. Actually, a quick look up, it was Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23. Regardless, I mean, I haven't really seen her in many shows or films or anything, so it was all a fresh start for me. And that's why I wasn't too excited about this series, Jessica Jones, when it first was out there. And I honestly had to do multiple takes at watching this through. The beginning just didn't catch me because it had a typical intro, credits intro, and then it started off with a opening monologue from her character. So it was like she was a private investigator, so it kind of had that kind of, that kind of mystery vibe to it, and it was okay. So I went back to watch this series again, or at least the first couple episodes, and I kind of grew an appreciation for the intro and the first episode. Not nearly as bad as I recall. And I mean, the theme music actually won some awards, I think, which I guess that's cool. Well, to help explain the Jessica Jones series, I pulled an audio clip from a Jimmy Kimmel interview with Kristen Ritter about this, so let's give that a listen.
You look like a superhero. This is what a superhero should look like in her off hours.
I've never worn a pantsuit before.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm digging it.
It's good. Don't let Hillary Clinton have that to herself. Others should take that.
Yeah, why not?
Make it their own. Do you know Robert and Chris, your fellow Marvel superheroes?
No, I've never met them. I didn't know they were going to be here.
Oh, they were.
I was like, oh wow, this is. There's like the big Marvel stars are here.
So there's no initiate. Well, they're Avengers, and you'd be one of your characters, a Defender, right?
Defender, right?
Yeah, Defenders, Avengers, all.
Which is sort of like the Netflix version of the Avengers.
Yeah.
When we all come together.
When I was a kid, though, the Defenders were just as big as the Avengers, or at least I thought they were just as big as the Avengers. You weren't a skinny little nerd like I was, so
I was a skinny little something, but yeah. I wasn't really exposed to comic books when I was younger. Jessica Jones was actually my first comic book.
What are her powers, Jessica Jones?
Okay, so Jessica Jones has the best ones. She is very strong, and she can fly. Badly.
Isn't she really jumping? Isn't it more of a hard jump?
Yeah, it's more like big jumping or guided falling, she calls it.
I see.
So she doesn't fly that often because when she does it, she gets injured. Mm-hmm. But she can get where she needs to go.
The landing is the problem.
Exactly.
There. And this is not necessarily a show for the whole family like a lot of these Marvel movies. This is more, not R-rated, but more of a PG...
It's close, yeah.
16, maybe PG-16 and a half?
Yeah, something like that. It's a psychological thriller. It's very dark.
There's sex in it?
There's some sex.
There's sex in it?
There's some violence.
Sex?
There's also... there's a lot of blood. There's fighting. Mm-hmm. So yeah, when I was telling people, I'm doing this cool Marvel show, and they're like, oh, I love the Avengers. I'm like, okay, well, It's not really like the Avengers.
Yeah.
It's a little different, but
But it's nice because you don't, I mean, otherwise there's too much repetition. It's a nice niche that you have there.
All right, so that's it. There you go. End of show. Just kidding. No. All right. Aside from Kristen Ritter, you also have Carrie-Anne Moss, who a lot of you may know as Trinity from the Matrix series. She plays this lawyer, or I guess she's, what do you call that, partner, the lawyer. She hires Jessica Jones to do some contract work, or PI, private investigating of some stuff, or just whatever task for her. You also got Rachel Taylor, not familiar with her work. David Tennant, who you may know as one of the doctors in Doctor Who. I remember catching a couple of his episodes. I'm not really a big Doctor Who fan, but I know he's a big thing out there. Oh, and Erin Moriarty. If you are familiar with The Boys, she plays Starlight in that show. So, yeah, that was a cool thing for me to look back into. And, other characters here. About the show itself. So, this first episode for me was a bit of a slow burn. I mean, I'm not familiar with the Jessica Jones character. So, in the beginning, you don't even know, like, okay, what's her deal? What's her superpower? What makes her special? I have no clue besides that she likes to drink a lot. And then you find out that's because she has some trauma that she's trying to just get over with. And she has to keep repeating these street names in order to make her get sane again. She suffers a PTSD from, I guess I could spoil it. It's on the next episode where it's more fully explained. But as far as the first episode goes, you're kind of like, left in the dark about what's going on. Continue on with Jessica Jones. Show progresses. You see that she can jump up great heights. Not exactly flying like she said in an interview, but yeah, more like what Jimmy Kimmel was saying. She jumps and gets to places. Then you're also, kind of clued in a little bit into what causes her trauma. You can visibly tell that the background kind of turns purple, all the hues, the colors, and then there's this shadowy man that just talks to her, like right next to her. And then right after that, she's just like, her anxiety levels just go through the roof, and you see that post-traumatic stress disorder just kicking in, and you're like left still wondering like, what the hell's going on? Then Jessica starts naming off all these street names as a way to calm herself down. I guess that works for her. And you get a little peep show of another character you soon get to find out is Luke Cage, who also has his own show in the Defender series. So more on that later. And looking at this now, I see that the show was kind of alluding to all her powers slowly throughout. And, when I first watching this, I was just like, what the hell? I was thinking if this was just going to be some kind of detective type show that, that really has nothing to do with superheroes. And I guess that's what turned me off at first. But, I mean, as you watch this series, it gets better. Honestly, for me, I actually fully remember that it was the second season that I really enjoyed this series. But even with this first episode, I mean, there was that raunchy kind of sex scene that they had. Nothing too graphic or showy too much, but it was really loud. kind of funny in a way like that, But you also see that Jessica Jones' character is more of the wham bam, thank you ma'am kind of deal. She doesn't stick around, and she just bails. So either you see that as this strong, independent woman, or just this kind of damaged woman that is just seeking the quick thrill or a quick high, I guess, in a way. Or maybe just a way to forget things in it before things go back to normal for her. Before I keep rambling off here, I know that I have some disagreements or dislikes with this, but I do have to say that Kristen Ritter and all the other actors here, they really act their characters out. They really get their roles right. So I feel that, like, I don't feel like any of these characters are just like not true to how they are. I mean, in the sense that okay, they're not just actors saying these lines and stuff. You really feel like, okay, they're really this character. So they really get into character, so to speak. And that's what I appreciate. So there's that at least. As far as the story and everything else, it just slowly evolves. So as long as you can get through that, then I think you would enjoy this series. Without giving too much away about this first episode, I mean, Jessica Jones, she has this kind of, I guess, problem that she kind of solves, or at least we think we solve it by the end, only for the show to, put a twist on there and then show that, holy crap, yeah, shit's gonna be going down. And then you truly find out the magnitude of what Jessica Jones faces with the antagonist of this series, and why, even as strong and powerful and independent, strong-willed that Jessica Jones is, that this antagonist just scares the living shit out of her. So bottom line, I'd say that if you watch this show and it feels like it's not for you right away, give it a watch, give it another rewatch, or just kind of pull through, just push through it, and then maybe by a second season, like how I felt, you might feel like it gets better, or maybe towards the end as you get to understand these characters a little bit more. So that's that. As far as the rest of the week, like I mentioned, I'm going to be covering probably all the intro episodes for each of the other shows in the Defenders series. So up next would be Luke Cage, and then we'll get up to Iron Fist, and then the Defenders, and lastly the Punisher, if I think we have enough time, because he's kind of, that was like an afterthought, well, not an afterthought, but that was after the whole Defenders series, kind of. But Punisher is still badass, so of course we gotta cover Punisher. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed listening to me. I hope you tune in again. So until next time, have a fantastic day.